Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of the NASCAR Heat 5 Career Mode. I hope you're all having a great day today. We have some Xfinity Series as well as some Cup Series coming your way here at Mid-Ohio for the Cup Series for the middle race of the round of 8. Very excited for some road course racing. I just want to start off this episode by saying a huge thank you to everybody who's ever hit the subscribe button on the channel. We just hit 10,000 subscribers yesterday. Yesterday, September 1st, was my birthday and we hit 10 subscribers on my birthday. That was literally like if I could choose one day out of the whole year to hit 10K, it would have been yesterday. So it was absolutely perfect. I think we hit it around like 10 p.m. or something like that. So thank you to everybody that's a part of this community. And hopefully, if you haven't subscribed yet and you're thinking about joining, I would love if you, of course, became a part of the Going community here for the NASCAR Heat side as well as the Formula One side now that's really picking up lately. So thank you once again. Now, as we focus on what's going on here, though, in the episode here with Paul Menard behind the wheel for us at Texas in that number 77 Menard's Chevrolet Camaro. And he was working his way through the field pretty well here in the first couple of laps of this race, and he got up inside the top 5, and then once he got up into the top 5, it just kind of flatlined. He was about 4th place right behind Riley Herbst for pretty much the rest of this race in Texas, so he didn't really go anywhere after that. So he was trying to make moves, just couldn't make it happen. We're going to cut straight through to the final lap here into turn 3. He's right on the back of the 18 of Herbst there through the center of the corner, but it wouldn't be enough now, as it would be Quinn Houff in the number 10 car out of turns 4 leading the way to come through to cross the line and win in Texas over Kimi Räikkönen in the 2nd position, and that would be a 4th place finish here in the O'Reilly Auto Parts 300 for Paul Menard. Räikkönen, of course, just announced retirement in real life from Formula One yesterday at the end of this season. He also retired from my F1 My Driver Series, and now here he is in NASCAR. It just kind of worked out weirdly there as you look at the rest of the finishing order. Quick look at the playoff grid. Of course, we are still locked in, I should say, to the final 4 in the Xfinity Series, so we have nothing to worry about there with Paul behind the wheel over the next episode now as we come through into Mid-Ohio. Razor colors back on the car as usual here as we're getting ready for the final 3 races left with this Gordon Hendrick Motorsports team with the 24 car before we move over to the Roush LeBron Racing team in the number 6. I will be showing a couple more paint schemes that we have in the off season. We have shown the Pepsi car, but there's also a few more schemes to show, and I'll of course be showing Tyler Reddick's car as he is joining us over there in the 60s. So it's a 3-car team. As we know, it's going to be myself, Christopher Bell, as well as Tyler Reddick. I really think that is a very good lineup there. As you can see on qualifying, I make a bit of a mistake here a little bit later in the lap, but surprisingly, it didn't hurt us too much. I didn't actually crash on a road course qualifying lap, and we come through to cross line with a 1:21.607 and qualify pole here, even after that big mistake. So on pole for the 2nd time, I think, this season, 3rd time in our Cup Series career. So that was an absolute blast to be able to do that, and I was honestly pretty shocked here as you look at the qualifying order here, getting ready to go green for the 2nd race of the round of 8. Now we come into this round in general somewhat comfortable above the cut line, and of course after a decent performance last episode, we're a little bit more comfortable coming into today in Mid-Ohio. Easy target today, boys. Let's just try and win it. I mean, that way it makes it way easier in Iowa for us, so let's go have some fun today. There you hear myself on the radio, and now here you see the playoff grid of the 8 drivers remaining. Chase Elliott, myself, as well as Christian Eckes, all 20-plus points above the cut line. Then Sam Mayer, the last driver in right now, 9 points above the cut line, and Bubba Wallace, 9 points out. Lewis Hamilton, Brandon Jones, and Eric Jones all over 30 points below the cut line. So they are all in need of tremendous performances today if they don't want to go into Iowa in a must-win scenario. Lewis Hamilton, of course, has the advantage of this being a road course. So watch out for him today as he starts up inside the top 5, but he's going to have to get through Sam Mayer and myself here if he wants to win today in Mid-Ohio, as it is green flag racing here as we go down towards turns 1. Austin Cindric on row number 2 there for Penske Racing. Now as I already make a bit of a mistake here, go a little bit wide through turns 1, but no harm there as we go down this 2nd straightaway, leading the way. A little bit of a defensive line here. Wanted to make sure I cover off the field now as Mayer was right in behind myself, and we just saw he comes into this race the last driver in the final 4, 9 points above the cut line. So got to be careful when I'm racing around with him, because obviously we are in a way better position than Sam Mayer is right now. So we don't have quite as much to lose as he does. But you can see already a quite comfortable lead as we go down into the right-hander. But here comes Sam Mayer from way back, and he actually gets into the side of myself. Some contact, as we were just talking about being careful around him. We made contact, but thankfully it didn't turn into anything there. As now I'm going wide, making mistakes here on this opening lap. But where we lost so much time right there, allowing Mayer to get by right-hand side, that's a corner similar to Watkins Glen Turn 1 on NASCAR Heat 5, where you just cannot brake like the AI can. They can brake so late, so heavily, without any just issues. And if I try to match their braking zone, even just about max braking, I just cannot make the corner. So it was very frustrating there on lap 1 to kind of be put in that spot, but we were okay. We had opened up a gap here on the second half of this opening lap. Now only 4 laps in stage 1, I think 5 laps in stage 2, so you don't have a whole lot of time to get anything done here in Mid-Ohio. Now as we come through onto the second lap, and we had opened up a nice gap to second place, which now belonged to the number 33 of Austin Cindric, who's showing some speed there for Penske Racing today. Now, as I'm just trying to not be stupid, just bring the car home in one piece here on this first and opening stage, get the 10 maximum points that we can get in stage 1, and if we can just maximize points today, I mean, that'll be a great opportunity for us, even if we don't win the race. But of course, what we want to do is just win the race, but we're not going to win the race doing that right there. Through turns 1 on lap 3, a bit of a mistake from myself. We go wide. We allowed the 33 and the 44, Cindric and Hamilton, to start to close the gap to myself right there. So the first big mistake on the day comes on lap 3 of this race. Last season, Mid-Ohio, I was terrible. I made a lot of mistakes. I spun the car out multiple times. The Nitro League, when we come here, I always spin out at least once. This is definitely my worst road course, I think, in all of racing, just about. So I was just trying to hang on and bring it home because we get this final lap underway, and now we are just staring right at a stage victory now, as long as I just don't do anything stupid. And speaking of that, there is a little bit of that happening as I go down into turns 2. I go wide again, and here comes the 33 of Cindric now as I'm trying to get the thing to turn and rotate, but it didn't want to rotate very well. So now here we are under attack from the 33 of Cindric. Lewis Hamilton putting some pressure on Cindric. Hopefully that'll be enough to keep Cindric from attacking myself, but I go very defensive into the corner because I know he's got the speed, and there he goes up my left-hand side into the turn. We hold him off. There was a little bit of contact between himself and I, but of course nothing that was impacting there. As you can see, up on 2 wheels, that opens the door again for the 33 of Cindric to put the attack on. Now, as I'm just full defense mode at that point, and when I'm in full defense, I am not very good at driving. You can see that happening right now as we make another big mistake. This time it's the worst one of the stage. We go into the sand. We left the door wide open for the 33 and the 44. Cindric, Lewis Hamilton go by, and they are going to finish 1-2 likely now at this point there, as I was paying more attention to the car behind me than to the corner that was ahead of me, and you could see just my late reaction to the corner, and then we just sailed it off into the sand. Very unfortunate, just a very silly mistake, a rookie mistake even, and Cindric holds off Hamilton for the stage 1 victory, but Lewis Hamilton gets 9 points. We cross the line there for a 3rd place finish to get 8 points instead of 10, which we were in position to get until I made a huge mistake. Eric Jones is well below the cut line after an engine failure in the last episode. It finishes 5th in stage 1. Christian Eckes gets P6, Sam Mayer gets P7, Chase Elliott gets P10. So unfortunate for Hamilton as well as Eric Jones and just anyone below the cut line in general, is if they're getting stage points here, well, everybody that's in the Final Four is also getting stage points, so they're not really gaining anything near what they need to be gaining here today. As Harrison Burton already out of this race, he must have had some engine failure or something there, as we end up actually getting back out to the lead. Our pit crew gets us P1 on the pit lane, and now we will lead the way back to green for the start of stage 2, as it is time to get amped in Mid-Ohio. comfortably out front here after the amp segment gets complete here on the second now lap of the second stage. 5 laps total. We're just trying to not do what we did in the last half of stage 1 and repeat that in stage 2. So just keeping calm here. I didn't have quite as big of a lead that I did in stage 1 at this point because I had backed it down a little bit. I was just trying to make sure I didn't go into a corner too deep, didn't send it off wide, or just do anything silly. So we come to 2 laps to go and still holding a comfortable lead over the 33 of Austin Cindric. Lewis Hamilton doing just about everything he needs to be doing today, but I don't think it's going to be enough because the drivers he needs to beat are still as well in the top 10 getting stage points at this point, cutting straight through to the final lap already of this second stage, and we did not make any mistakes and we had opened up the gap even more. So finally putting together a whole stage has put us in this spot right here, well out in front of the 40 car pack, or 39 cars now, because Harrison Burton is on the pit lane there. The fuel light does come on, but obviously that's not going to impact the ending of this second stage here as we come through the final few turns. Cindric still in second, Lewis Hamilton still in the third position, as Hamilton really is just struggling today to get past that number 33 of Austin Cindric. Now as we come through to cross the line, we win stage 2 here from Mid-Ohio, so maximizing the points at least in this second stage. But stage 1, of course, we did give up a few points that we could have picked up, but nonetheless we're doing a really good job of making ourselves way more comfortable above that cut line, and at this point we're just trying to make sure we bring it home here in stage 3, hopefully in the same position that we've been for the majority of this race. Complete night and day difference between this race and the last time we came to Mid-Ohio 36 races ago when we had an absolute disastrous day and we had speed in the car. I mean, we really did, but I just made so many mistakes that day, and hopefully in this third and final stage where it really matters the most, we're not going to see those mistakes. Noah Gragson, by the way, is now out of the race as well. You'll see him on the pit lane here when we come passing by. The pit crew keeps us in the first spot here, getting ready to go green for stage 3. There you see Harrison Burton and Noah Gragson on the pit lane as a green flag is out. 10 laps to go here from Mid-Ohio. Lewis Hamilton still third, Austin Cindric second, Todd Gilliland in that number 38 front row Mercedes in fourth place. Of course, they have an alliance with Mercedes, but I don't really think that's going to factor into, of course, how they're going to do on road courses in general. But Todd Gilliland lately has just been doing really good in that front row motorsports car. There was nearly a mistake right there as we almost went wide and hit a weird bump right there on the exit of the second turn. But here we go down this long back straightaway, and we know we have to be careful going into this next corner because AI are going to be coming very quick behind us now as we go down towards turn 3. But I went a little bit too deep into turn 3 and we're going to go way off the track into the sand. The biggest mistake of the day comes at potentially the worst time possible for that just severity of a mistake. So we rejoin the track now and we're just outside of the top 10, or still inside the top 10, or 12th is where we are here, side by side with Kyle Busch, who just announced next season in the career mode, along with our final season of the career mode. But it will be a farewell season for Kyle Busch as he's retiring at the end of next season now. So in P11 we have to get on it right away because now we have to pass 10 cars here if we want to win this race. That was just a terrible timed moment, of course, to happen right there, as we now have to just play catch-up for the rest of Stage 3, and I was already struggling here to make up some ground right behind the 17, our Fuji teammate of Christopher Bell. I take a 3 wide with him, as well as the number 12 of Chase Briscoe, and now there we go up into the 9th spot, and we would waste no time running down our Gordon Hendrick Motorsports teammate of Ryan Blaney. I actually got stuck behind him a little bit, but I said, you know what, I'm not returning to this team next year. I bumped him, I said, get out of my way. I am trying to move my way through the pack here and get a race victory and lock ourselves into that final 4. So passing the number 25 of Ryan Blaney, tries to fight back there and with a little bit of a switchback, couldn't quite pull it off there. Now as we would also run down the 7 of Eric Jones in the McLaren, I would actually nearly slam into him, but through turns 2, a very bold move right here, going around the outside there. That really shows the strength in our car. We just passed him around the outside, made it look like he had no idea that was coming. Now as we would go to the left hand side of the 78 of CJ McLaughlin, he won last episode, by the way, in a crazy strategy finish, and then was second in Talladega to myself in a photo finish, and now here we are passing him, looking up the right hand side of the Red Bull of Christian Eckes, and into the top 5 we go, coming to the final 6 laps of this race. Pit stops were not far away either. It was just a matter of time now as we came through a little bit later on this 20th lap. Here comes the fuel light. Now what I was thinking about doing here was I could, of course, come into the pit lane early, and then that way if a caution comes out, well, we're not going to actually have to pit, and we can just cycle up potentially to the lead, and everybody else would have to pit. But I decided to stay out an extra lap or so compared to some of these drivers. Chase Elliott, Austin Cindric, they're going to come in. Cindric gives up the lead, and the reason I did that is I wanted to see how long they spent on pit lane so I could determine how I need to go about the strategy here of 2 tires or 4 tires. And based off of what I was watching on the track map, I had determined that I probably should take 4 tires and just fill it up with fuel. So that's exactly what I would do. We would come through now towards the penultimate corner on the next lap here of lap 21 and come into the pit lane. I didn't know where the commitment line was or whatever, the pit lane line, so I was really slow, gave up a good chunk of time right there. There was actually mixed strategy. So Lewis Hamilton goes by. He took 4 tires as well as myself, but Todd Gilliland, I think, actually only took 2 tires, because look at him. He's already in turns 2 coming out of the corner, and here we are just out of turns 1. So if there's no caution, Todd Gilliland's going to win, because he's also ahead of Austin Cindric, who took 4 tires. So that was a big hit to everybody right there now, but the caution would actually come out, and Todd Gilliland is assuming, I guess, that he cannot make it all of a sudden, and Kyle Busch as well in second place. So they're going to pit from first and second. That's going to promote us into the 3rd position. NASCAR overtime. Lewis Hamilton is going to be in control of this final restart, with Austin Cindric joining him on the front row. Gilliland, weird strategy with him now, because of course they took the lead, and now I guess they determined they cannot make it to the end of this race. Chase Elliott on my outside, Eric Jones in the McLaren, CJ McLaughlin on the row behind us. Lewis Hamilton, who picked up his first ever NASCAR Cup Series win less than 10 races ago at the start of this playoffs at the Charlotte Roval, is now in position to win another one here as he leads the way through turns 1. And if he wins today, that would lock him into the Final 4 in just his 2nd ever NASCAR season. What a moment that would be. He gave up Formula 1, a 7-time world champion, took a chance to come to NASCAR last season, and was absolutely horrendous as a rookie. Here in his 2nd season, he has been a huge improvement, won a race, and now is fighting for a spot in the championship race at Homestead, Miami. We push him past the number 33 of Austin Cindric, and now it's going to be a scrap between Lewis Hamilton and myself. Who do you got in a situation like this? What am I known for I'm best at with NASCAR? Road course racing. What is Lewis Hamilton known for? Well, a Formula 1 7-time world champion, of course, Formula 1 all-road racing. So who do you put here as the favorite? I don't really know. I feel like a very evenly matched fight between myself and Lewis Hamilton. I mean, obviously, you can see here in the opening part of this lap, he really pulls away, and he would hold on to this gap, and I was thinking it's probably over at this point. We come through out of the final turn, white flag in the air, and we're just too far away to do anything to Lewis at this point. I was shocked that he was holding the pace he was, because clearly we proved earlier that we were the fastest car here, but here we are underway on this final lap. Lewis Hamilton pulls away even further. Now I can't even see his nameplate. Now we can see that name tag come back up, and we sailed it off into turns 2 very aggressively, hard on the brakes, and then we get loose on the exit of the corner, so we lose a little bit of time right there. A good 4 or 5 car lengths between myself and Lewis, not even close enough to run into the back of him. So right now we can't do anything about this. We just have to make sure we nail the hardest part of the track. So that was my concern, is now my back's against the wall on this final lap, and our only chance to get to him is just execute perfectly here through the technical section, and we get through the left-hander pretty well, but Lewis gets through there just as well as us. Now through the right-hander, we gain a little bit of time right there, but not anywhere near what we need to gain now. So as we come through this sweeping couple right-hand corners, this is our opportunity right here. This is going to really set the tone for our position going into the final few turns. We gain time. We're within about 3 car lengths at this point. Still not close enough to do anything. A few more corners to go. We close in even more on the 7-time world champion now as we go down into the penultimate turn. We're close now. Is it going to be close enough? For only one option left at this point is we're going to have to try and move the 44 of Lewis Hamilton. We get to his bumper in the final turn. We move him side by side. We clear Hamilton and win in Mid-Ohio with a bump and run on the 7-time Formula 1 world champion on the final corner in Mid-Ohio. And instead of Lewis Hamilton advancing into the final 4, we advance to the Final 4 and will have a chance to win a 2nd NASCAR Cup Series championship. And Lewis, instead of, like I said, winning his way in, is now going to be probably like a good 20 points out, I would think, going into Iowa, and almost in a must-win situation, but still, hopefully for him, a chance to point his way in. But I honestly felt bad for punting Lewis Hamilton for a win, but we have to win to get into the Final Four, and we made it happen. So just a huge moment right there. I think that was our 6th win on the season, if I'm not mistaken. So we're having a great season here with the 24 team. There you saw the bump and run right there on your screen. Again, as you look at the rest of the finishing order here, Todd Gilliland ended up in 31st, Kyle Busch 33rd, and then Harrison Burton, Noah Gragson, of course, both DNF'd from this race. So let's get a look at the playoff grid. So we know we're locked in, but Lewis Hamilton is the only driver, actually, realistically, that could point his way in still in Iowa. He's only 16 points below Jones. Bubba Wallace, shocking that he has fallen so far down the order here in the round of 8. He's 39 below. Brandon Jones 57 below. And so those 3 drivers, other than Hamilton, realistically must win Iowa. Hamilton, he's going to need a little bit of help, and I can tell you that if he's in a position where he needs a little bit of help against a McLaren, I'm going to give it to him. We owe him for just straight up dumping him just about there out of that final turn. So it's going to be one heck of a fight in Iowa to see who makes it into the Final Four. Chase Elliott looking very, very comfortable right now. He's going to have to DNF basically in stage 1. Other than that, he should make it no problem. So if you guys enjoyed, you know what to do. I'd like to thank you for taking the time of your day to watch this episode, and of course want to say thank you to the Going Racing members on the channel of MJ, Joseph 9001, Timothy Arline, Hayes Gaming, Brett Durward, Dark Gengar Gaming, AJ Viasur, Russell Dixon, Kenneth Barnett, Dana9302, Speed Demon 341. Once again, thank you so much for 10,000 subscribers. I appreciate everybody so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day, everybody.